Now, in the run-up to the announcement of South Africa's cabinet for the 7th administration, the rand plunged as the Democratic Alliance threatened to walk away from the GNU. During the period, the currency also experienced some of its biggest gains for the year. With the new cabinet finally in place, how's the rand doing and expected to moving forward? Andre Cilliers, who's a director and currency strategist at TreasuryONE, joins us with that analysis. Andre, always a pleasure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all the listeners and viewers out there.
Wonderful. Andre, how are we trading today? If I just look at the numbers I'm seeing here, 18.04 to the dollar. What do we make of that?
Well, we're doing well, and it's to be expected. I mean, there was quite some volatility last week. We briefly breached the 1850 level when it seemed that the whole GNU might not come off as smoothly as everybody thought, and that some parties might want to pull out and so forth. And then they came together again, and we immediately saw the reaction. And I said on Friday night on a radio station, that just really highlights the sensitivity of the currency and of the markets to the importance of this GNU. And this morning, we're not disappointed. We still see the importance of after the announcement of cabinet. And I think if I look at cabinet that was announced, then the markets this morning was overwhelmingly happy seeing that our treasury side, our finance side, our Minister of Finance, who's done a very good job over the last couple of years, is still there. His deputy is still there. And the only real changes to that side was the addition of a DA member as a second deputy. You know, so both parties there got they want. The one stays in charge, and the other one got an oversight, if I can term it that way, as the second biggest part of the GNU, got some oversight into that area. And I think the markets are very, very pleased with that. As for the other positions, how they were dished out, I've listened to a lot of people, what they say and how they say it, and mine might sound a little interesting in the sense that I'm going to say a fruit salad is very healthy, and it's a very good meal. It's good for your growth hormones. It's good for everything. And this is also, this fruit salad that was dished up for us is very good for growth and can be very good for growth. And it can be very, very good for the health of our economy, for the health of our country. I think we just need to keep in mind, one or two bad apples might spoil the whole fruit salad for us. Now, I'm not saying that there is currently any bad fruit in the fruit salad, but we must remember that there is a broad spectrum of political views, there's a lot of differences between the people still, and it's going to be there for some time. It's not going to disappear. So how it gets managed, how the decision-making gets managed, and how little hiccups we have as possible is going to determine the health of our fruit salad and the impact of that on our country going forward.
An interesting analogy indeed, Andre. Andre, I also want to speak about one I think that I've seen come up in many parts of ordinary South Africans when we think of the rand. You know, when we speak of the rand, of course, we're speaking about a currency. But leading up to the GNU and even maybe leading up to the elections, maybe how we, the media, would report on the rand, we would kind of give it a personality. And that's been rejected by many South Africans with the idea that the rand tried to influence the outcome of the GNU. I want to get your thoughts on that, because of course it does speak about that delicate dance between the political and the currency, but also just trying to maybe bring some clarity around what transpired there.
It's wishful thinking to think that the path of the rand can influence the composition of a government. That's just simply never going to happen. The composition of a government, the decisions of a government, what happens in your economy, I always refer to the vital statistics, your growth of the country in GDP, US jobless claims, interest rates, all these things, fiscal policy, monetary policy, is the things that determine the path of the currency. The currency cannot determine the path. It can never be the other way around. So it's wishful thinking to think that that was the case. So in the future, that will also, what happens in the GNU and the decisions made by the GNU, how it filters through to local governments, what happens on ground level, how it filters through to investor confidence throughout the world, throughout South Africa. Because when we speak about investor confidence, it's not just investors from foreign countries into South Africa, it's investors locally that also need to invest in their industries and their businesses that will make the economy grow. So how those decisions by a GNU influences these things and how that stabilizes investor confidence will determine where our economy goes, where our currency goes, and where our interest rates and inflation rates are going.
Also keen to touch on globally what we're seeing, for instance, just political dynamics unfolding within the United States, if that all has contributed to some strengthening in the rand or just not enough to move the needle in that regard.
Well, we're seeing this morning that the rand's down to the 1805, 1803 levels around there, trading in a relatively narrow range. But we've also seen over the weekend, and after the economic figure data sets came out of America last week, we've also seen that the euro this morning is quite a bit stronger, and the dollar is a bit weaker. So that is also to the benefit of the currency. And we must never, ever, ever forget that South Africa is just part. It's a small percentage, but it's part of an international economy. We import and we export to various countries throughout the world. Our investment comes from various countries throughout the world. So we are just one of the little spikes in this big wheel of a world economy. And what happens in that wheel of the big economy will always influence the South African economy. It will also always influence our currency. That is very, very important to know. We're not working in isolation. So going forward, two things. As I said, I've already mentioned a GNU, what our government does, how it filters through to local government, ground level, how the people of South Africa feel, how they spend, investors, etc. But the international economy, and then specifically the United States, which is the biggest part of this world economy cake, will always influence what happens in South Africa and how that influences our currency value as well.
Well, Andre, for unpacking this one for us this afternoon, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. That was Andre Cilliers, Director and Currency Strategist at TreasuryONE.